What are some of the key national laws that come into play, Craig, with recovery housing? Daryl mentioned the Fair Housing Act. He mentioned the Americans with Disabilities Act, but I'd love to hear that from you as well.
Yeah, so those are the two main ones. The Fair Housing Act, which dates back to the 1960s, and there have been amendments in the 80s, and still constant changes on that. And then the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990. And I guess the key takeaways from those is that under the Fair Housing Act, family is not necessarily, as Sean was talking about during his interview, just a mom, dad, 2 kids, a dog, and a cat. The definition is more expansive, and it can include unrelated persons. And then when you start dealing with disability, which has also been put into the Fair Housing Act, it requires that you have some level of reasonable accommodation, both under ADA as well as fair housing. And so under the Fair Housing Act, that reasonable accommodation also applies to some zoning restrictions and things like that, that it's more than just putting a ramp in to have fair housing and providing that accommodation. It may be that variances might need to be looked at in a different perspective and dealing with the community that we're working with.
So those are the big national laws, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Fair Housing Act. What about local ordinances? I'm guessing that's often where the rubber hits the road. Craig, how much do these play a role in whether or not recovery housing is created?
I think it plays a big role. As Sean was mentioning, they try to put it in chapters and check boxes and things like that. And a lot of times the initial reaction is, I want to have recovery housing. Well, that's a boarding house. Is it really a boarding house or is it not? And how do you convince municipalities that it is not a boarding house? You run into issues under state law of they're living in the facility, the recovery housing. Is it their housing and falls under landlord tenant law? Is it not housing? So how does that all fit together? And if someone needs to be discharged or is no longer following the rules of the program, it's problematic for them to stay because the other participants in the program have that expectation that everyone's going to be living that abstinent, sober life with the structure and supporting the community. And when one person doesn't, that person may be losing their housing because they're no longer in the program. But if they stay, it can bring everybody else down.